Now that we're 3 weeks into March, we want to be well on our way to having our gardens cleaned up for the new year. If you haven't done so already, it's a good idea to cut back all of your ornamental grasses and your perennials. That is, removing all of last year's growth to make way for this year's growth. Well, we still have a few things we need to get cleaned up here in our garden, like this clump of morning light miscanthus here at the corner of our studio barn. So I'm just going to take my head shears here and cut off all of last year's growth. Cut away all of these old leaves and stems. Make way for those fresh new clumps of foliage that will come out from the crown of the plant. Won't take any time at all before we have all that new foliage here in the garden, replacing all this brown foliage. This will all be good material for our compost pile. Be sure to mix in some green materials to help it break down quick enough. But I like to cut back the grasses to about 1/4 of the height that they were growing in the garden. And I like to kind of mound the clump as well. It just gives a good support to all those new leaves that come out of the center. And again, about 1/4 of the height that the plant was growing. Now I know some gardeners who like to get really ambitious and cut back their ornamental grasses with a chainsaw or some power hedge trimmers. If you want to try that, before you do, it's a good idea to get some sort of twine and to cinch up the grass so it holds together very well before you cut that off. I've seen people try to do it without cinching the grasses up, and their chainsaw gets kind of clogged up with all those loose blades of grass. Well, if you want to dig up and move any of your ornamental grasses, you could do that at this time of the year, or split those up and divide them. Maybe give a few to your neighbors, or just plant them in other parts of your garden. You definitely do that this time of the year. Like I said, the perennials also need the tops cut off of them. So these Russian sage here also need a good spring haircut. But again, here with my head shears, I'm just going to cut those back. Now, Russian sage is actually somewhat of a sub-shrub type plant, so it will have live stems that overwinter, and we'll get some buds breaking way up in the upper parts of the plant. But in order to keep the plant at a nice size, a little bit smaller, more compact height, I'm going to cut it down to about 6 to 8 inches. That way we can have a nice, compact perennial here in our garden. But, just come in, cut these back. Doesn't take much time at all, and really gives the garden a fresh, clean look when they start to leaf out and flower. Now, any of your fall blooming perennials like goldenrods or asters can be dug and divided at this time. And you could also dig and divide any spring blooming perennials or summer blooming perennials at this time, but remember, they probably will not flower this year. Well, good luck continuing with the cleanup of your garden.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.